gonna pipe in
Okay.
because you have the protein.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome to Grace Online. We're so glad to be here with you in the virtual lobby. My name is Travis. I'm the resident of Adult Ministries. So I will help people with next steps, baptism, discovery group. Chances are, if you're taking a spiritual next step here at Grace, we're going to talk at some point. And this is Brad. He's our pastor of family ministry.
Yeah.
And you've probably seen Brad around a lot. I've only been around a little bit. You've been around a long time.
Well, you've been around a long time, though.
I've been around a minute.
You're here and then gone and then back.
Yeah, and you were my youth pastor.
Right.
So
back in the day.
It's been a minute.
Yeah.
It's been a minute. So I'm happy to be here today.
Oh, it's gonna be great. I'm excited too.
What are you excited about today?
I don't know. It's a great series. We started a new series, and it's a lot of fun, and I'm excited about what just being together. March is starting on Monday.
I know.
So spring is coming.
It's crazy.
Sunshine happened like 4 days this week.
Yeah,
it's
but
amazing.
we all know this is fake spring.
It's okay.
This is fake spring. Like we're in pseudo spring right now. Like we feel it, but then we're gonna get hit again.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I know.
It's gonna happen.
I know it is. I know, but the sunshine makes a difference, I think.
Yeah, I hope.
Yeah, it's good.
It's good. It's good stuff. So,
yeah, it's a real good. I don't know. It's a good weekend just to be at church. I do a game. I help with game day too, so I got to coach basketball.
Were you just there?
Yeah, I'm early this morning, so
okay,
it was fun.
That's cool. What age group do you coach right
Third
now?
and fourth grade.
Third and fourth. Okay.
Yeah. It's fun.
That's a blast.
Our team name is the Sonic Squirrels.
Sonic Squirrels.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Shout out to the Sonic Squirrels. If you or your kid isn't Sonic Squirrels, let us know in the chat.
And we lost to the Salty Pretzels.
Salty Pretzels? Oh no.
But they got some great team names over there. One of the team names I saw was called Slammin' Sloths.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. And Rockin' Raptors.
Raptors.
They got some good stuff going on over there.
Good. Yeah, game day's a good time.
Yeah.
So you've done a lot of game day though. You've coached. You've kind of done. You've done the classes.
Yep.
You've done a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Well, I love sports. Basketball is my favorite thing, but in being in family ministry, the next generation is what excites me the most.
Yeah.
There's so much potential. I mean, you think about a third grader, how much of life, hopefully they haven't seen yet. And if they can get them to get excited about who Jesus is, and I don't know, more days walking with him.
Yeah. So with the spring coming, how does that affect your fishing schedule?
Hey, it's good. Fishing time's coming real good. So all the rivers are starting to loosen up a little bit. That ice, that was some thick ice this year. So
did you go out in the ice?
No, I don't.
You ever been ice fishing?
No.
You never been ice fishing?
No, I don't like ice fishing because I like the moving water and I like seeing the water, and ice is just like it feels like you're like cutting a hole in a parking lot. I don't know. It just looks boring. I don't know.
Do you have a trip planned soon?
No, I don't know. I'll try to find some margins here. I'm in a busy schedule with my life right now.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, so it's good. It's good. What do you got going on this spring? Anything fun?
Well, not particularly. I've just been hanging out. I'll graduate seminary at the end of spring.
There you go.
So I'm really excited about that. Pumped. Western Seminary out here.
Yeah.
Doing it all online. But I'll be done. Like, it's been a long journey.
Yeah. But even though you're doing seminary, it's still a weird year to be a student. Because usually you would at least travel out there for a little bit of time.
Yeah. I would. That's the biggest bummer for me is like, at the end of this, I would normally go out for graduation and walk, and like there's like a whole thing you do with your professors at the end, but that's all online. So, which is just gonna be a big long Zoom call for like 3 days straight, but which is it's not as fun.
No.
So, plus I don't get to go see Portland, Oregon, which is such a cool city.
Yeah, I've never been.
I went out there at the beginning.
Okay.
I visited once, and it was a blast.
Yeah, I've been out to like Los Angeles, California, San Francisco, California, but that's as far north as I've been on the West Coast.
Yeah, Portland was brand new. That was the farthest north I've been on the West Coast when I went out there.
I heard it's awesome.
It's a blast. It's a really cool city. Lots of like foot traffic and biking and just having there's a really cool community out there. Like everybody, you can tell that everybody's kind of in their neighborhoods and there's a lot of life like that. I mean, I was staying in an Airbnb and like neighbors just came over and talked to me. Like that's what's cool. Going on there. It's just kind of cool.
So I have a question. Do you watch WandaVision?
Yeah.
You guys watch WandaVision out there? It's been a weird experience. Like when I first started watching, I was like, I'm not sure I want to watch this.
It's so
but now
good.
it's like I can't,
It's
can't wait till the next
week.
week. Yeah,
I don't want to spoil
No
it for
spoiler
anybody.
alerts,
I'm not spoiling anybody.
No. But it happened.
It was really good. And if you haven't watched it, there is an after credit scene this week.
Okay. So fast forward a little bit if you're watching on Disney Plus.
That's the only thing I'm going to say about it. But
yeah.
So good.
I'm ready for like the movies and all those. Like, I don't think I missed that stuff.
Yeah.
But then when you watch something like that, it's like,
going to the movies.
I didn't think I really did. I'm like, that's okay.
Yeah.
But then I started watching that show and I'm like, it feels like a movie,
Yeah, it does.
So it's making me miss it a lot.
Yeah. That's good.
So that's cool. So we service is what, about 10 minutes or so we have coming up?
Yeah, and if you're just tuning in, maybe you just came into the virtual lobby, want to say welcome, glad you're here. My name's Travis, in case you missed it. This is Brad. We're here hanging out with you guys until we go into service. We are starting a new series this week.
Yeah.
But I wanted to, dude, the last series was so good.
Yeah.
I loved the last series.
Yeah, it was great.
I thought it was extremely helpful in the middle of all of the chaos that we've been in the past year to remember how our identities are so affected by what Christ has done for us.
Yeah.
And that was, for me, that was a really good reminder of that I'm a different person because of what Christ has done. He changes the narratives of everything for us.
Yeah.
Like that's big.
Yeah, and I think that stuff always hits so close to home for me. That's why I love working with. I always love students are my favorite, the teenage years, because that's really when they're asking that question at the beginning for the first time.
Yeah.
My 9-year-old's not walking around a lot questioning his identity or wondering what his purpose on life is. He still wants to be an astronaut or work at Krispy Kreme and make donuts or McDonald's. You know what I mean?
Dude,
and he thinks they're all get paid the same. I think too. So.
So we had as kids, we had this big. It was like a binder it was just a different page for every year. So after the school year was over, you sit down with mom and dad and like fill out the stuff. And it was, what do you want to be when you grow up? Who are your best friends? What's your, they ask you life questions. They get more complicated as it goes on. But I have mine from the whole thing all the way through high school.
Wow.
And when I was 9, what I wanted to be was a roofer. I have no idea why. I never once articulated that except for that book.
Yeah.
I don't want to be a roofer.
No. That's a tough job, but some people love doing it. But you think about it, what experiences happen in our lives that make us, or what we see that intrigues us about something like that says that's what I want to do.
I feel like as a kid, I just looked at the top of a roof and I'm like, that sounds cool.
Yeah.
Being high up. That sounds like a fun time.
Yeah, not me. I hate heights. I don't like being up high.
Do you like roller coasters?
Nah, they're okay. Nah, I'm not.
You're not a Cedar Point junkie?
Now, my view of roller coasters, this might sound terrible. I'm not sure I'm allowed to say this in Ohio. My view of roller coasters is you wait for an hour and a half to get beat up for a minute and a half.
Oh, but it's so fun. That minute and a half is a blast.
No, I went to Disney earlier this year. We rode the rock and roller coaster. That was fun.
Oh yeah,
it's all inside. It's dark.
Ride.
That's an oldie but a goodie down there. So.
Yeah, that's a good. What else did you at Disney?
That's the Star Wars stuff.
Oh, is that cool?
Oh yeah, the Rise of Resistance.
I've been meaning to go down.
Oh, it's the best thing ever.
Yeah, we're hoping to go down in November.
You really feel like you're getting interviewed by the New World Order. I mean, or whatever, First Order, New World Order.
That's awesome. What up, Josh?
Hey, there's Pastor Josh there. Oh,
he came and he went.
That's kind of how Josh works. He bumps in and bumps out.
Yep, that's how it goes.
Hey, one thing I do want to talk about is these cards are on our seats here at the in the services, but you can find them on the app. We have that app that we can download. But it's I'm really excited because like our Give It Away team, Pastor Joe and Sarah and her teammates there, they came up with these cards. It's really cool. It has like a QR code on there, but you don't need it. The card, you can do it right on the app. But it has some things on here, just a bunch of resources, talking about how do we give away our faith. It talks the story, know it. We know the story of Jesus, live it out in community and, having our lives changed by it, but then giving it away. So I don't know. It's I don't know about you, but sometimes it's like I can get so caught up in just running through the Christian walk that I forget about giving it away.
Yeah, it's a really important thing. I actually just did my personal spiritual growth plan for the year.
Okay.
And that was something that I think came up for me was that in COVID, the give it away side for me was very disrupted because a lot of the ways that I was involved in giving away my faith regularly were disrupted, whether it was through different city partners or I was leading a life group through Collective, and that all changed a little bit, which is good. But so all that kind of changed. That was one of the things that came up was that my wife and I haven't had a place to serve together in a
Yeah.
little bit.
That's what I'm hoping with the spring, with it getting warmer, people get
Yeah.
out walking around. Because when we were at least we try to walk in our neighborhood a lot, and you at least see people. But to actually get in places where you can have good conversations, it was, like you said, limited. You're not having a lot of people in your house. You're not showing up at random places. So, but this card's really good. So you can just go on our app and check that out. You'll find some good stuff on there.
Yeah, and I'll just take you right to a webpage with all the resources.
There's classes, conversations to have, and we have some workshops coming up. So I don't know. So I'm excited about what God's doing here at Grace Church.
Yeah, and that's linked pretty heavily to the next series, right?
Yeah. The series we're in this, because Jeff's going to talk about wasting our life to save the world is what the series is called, and he talks a lot about. It starts with serving and imitating Christ like that. So you'll hear some of that in his message come out here in a little bit. So.
Yeah. So we're like 4 minutes away from service.
Yeah.
We're getting ready. Again, if you're just tuning in, maybe you just came in just a second ago. I'm Travis. This is Brad.
Yeah.
Pastor Brad. We're having a good time here, and we're hoping that you're having a great time. Maybe you hung out in the sun today. Maybe you didn't, but it's a great old time.
Yeah. Isn't it funny how 50 some degrees the first time you feel it in winter?
It feels so warm.
It does. It feels like summertime.
Yeah.
It feels like you just want to walk around in your cutoffs,
Yeah, and then at the end of summer, you get there and it's like 50 degrees. You're like, I think I just need to put on a coat.
Right. And so like in the winter, like you go into like 50 degrees, you want to wear those jorts, like cut off jean shorts. Anybody wear those? That's what I wear. Show off my thighs. It's nice.
Yeah.
But then in the summertime, it's like 50 degrees hits. You're like, oh man, I got to put my long pants on. Where's the sweaters?
Right. It's good. It's so weird how our bodies adjust like that.
Yeah.
It's almost like they were designed or something.
Yeah, it's almost like there's something that's bigger out there that developed the body in a way in which it can adapt.
Which that would adapt. Yeah. Have you watched any good movies recently?
No, I really haven't.
You haven't watched any movies?
I'm trying to think if there's anything good that I've watched. No. I mean, I think, like I said, I was watching WandaVision, so it's like shows, stuff like that. I watch a lot of sports. But right now, I've just been, I haven't watched a lot of stuff. Yeah, that's good now. Now I'm thinking, is there even a good movie to watch?
Well, my friend just loaned me his HBO Max account, so there was a couple movies on there that I missed throughout, I don't know, years. So I watched Jojo Rabbit the other week. So good.
I never heard of it.
It's set in Nazi Germany, and the premise of it is it's the main character is a kid who grew up in the Hitler Youth, and it's his experience with coming to terms with what this all has meant, and then the universe shattering of him realizing that the Nazis are the bad guys when his mom has been holding a Jew in their house the whole time. It's like a very creative way to tell the story of Nazi Germany. But
see, my rule about movies, Travis, is unless they end happy, I don't watch them.
This one, it has a cool ending.
Like even like Avengers, like I was really mad halfway through the last movie.
Halfway through the last movie.
Yeah, that was it. Endgame, Infinity War, and an Endgame.
Yeah.
I was really mad for a little bit.
War?
For like a year, I'm ticked off. I'm like, it's Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. I know he's gone. We got a minute and a half till service starts. Get ready, grab your Bible, grab your notebook, get the app ready to follow along with the notes. We're going to be jumping into this new series with Pastor Jeff. It's going to be a grand old time. We're excited about it. Hope you're excited about it, and we're glad that we're here together.
Yeah.
Here online. And if anything comes up throughout the service and you have a question, maybe you have a question about those salt and light things that Brad was talking about or anything like that, you can feel free to reach out to us in the chat and we will get back to you. We will talk to you. There are people there who are ready to engage with you. So don't sit there alone. Know that we're with you here and that we're a resource that can help you out. We're here for you.
Yeah, and also I'd encourage you. I know for some of us, we're not ready to come back to service yet, which is totally cool.
Yeah.
But if there's you just know Grace Church, we love you and we're excited about you. But we might not always know the best way to help you stay connected. So if there's ways in which you think, boy, I could really get connected this way, or maybe you need some help, or you just need someone to talk to, please reach out to us. I'd encourage you have the courage to raise your hand right through right here on the through social media there. Just reach out and someone will get connected with you. We love you. We're glad that you're here. It's going to be a great service.
It's going to be a good one. We're excited about what the band's going to do. We got some songs in there that are exciting and awesome.
Yeah, there's some good anthems. We've been doing that one song, "Battle Belongs
So
to Lord,"
good.
or I can't remember what it's called, but they do that one tonight, which is really good.
It's a good one.
In the service.
So we will see you later. Enjoy.
All right, have fun.
Hey, Bath Campus family, Pastor Jeff here. Super excited to let you know that we're adding a service to the Montrose building at 11:45.
Confirming test. Okay, yeah.
Okay, so confirming, and there will not be confetti at it, but I hope that you're excited about it. 11:45, lots of
what
room
are these
for.
attached to? This is gonna be really fun.
So if we could just concentrate for a minute, there'll be lots of room for kids. We'll be opening.
Test number 2?
No,
okay, cool.
I think we got it down the first time, so no. So plenty of room for children, so you can RSVP for them both services, and they'll be able to connect in. We're only
so
adding.
I have 12 goats, 6 capybaras, 36 guinea pigs, 1 giraffe, and 47 llamas. What's that? Test again? Okay, cool.
Why would we need llamas? So 11:45, the Montrose building, plenty of room for kids, no confetti, no petting zoo, no jumper cables, but we would love it if you could be there. First week of March, see you then. Joe.
Will Majestic be there?
No.
Well, hey there, Grace Church. Hey, good to see you guys. Come on, let's go and stand up.
I was searching for something I knew was there but couldn't see. I remember the moment when the one I was searching for found me. I can make sense of it, no getting over it. How much your love changed everything.
Oh, that was great. You guys can grab a seat. Hi there, my name is Brad. I'm one of the pastors here. I'm so excited about this weekend, excited about what God is doing here at Grace Church, and we're excited that everybody's here, whether you're in person or online. Welcome. It's going to be a great service. And a couple things just to help us get a little bit, comfortable in here. If you're a guest today, I really want to encourage you a couple things. One of them is we have a free gift for you. We know it's hard sometimes to go to a new place, but you did it, and you're here. And so on the way out, I would encourage you to swing over by the desk over there. You'll see a free gift, and you can just grab that on your way out. If you'd like to talk to somebody or meet someone from the church, we'd love to meet you out there in the lobby as well, but no pressure. We're glad that you're here. Another thing for us all to think about is we have an app here at our church, and so some of you have already downloaded it. I'd encourage you can even pull it out now if you want. But if you want to go onto your app store, if you haven't downloaded it yet, and just search Grace Ohio, and you can download the app right there. The app is a great tool to stay, really to use throughout the service. You can, follow along in there. You can read the scriptures. Pastor Jeff's here tonight. We're starting a new series, Wasting Your Life to Save the World. It's going to be awesome. And you can find out, just go track along right with that in there, take notes and everything. And so I'm excited about that. So you can always use the app for a lot of different ways. Find information, but also to get connected too. There's a connection tab that's in there, so you can click right on that. And it's a way to just, if you have a prayer request or maybe you hear something during the service that kind of sparks something in your heart you want to talk to somebody about, or just, let us know that you're here, you can use the connection tab for that. We love praying with you. We love connecting with you. And we'll do the best that we can to follow up with you on those things. Also, another thing on there, as you can see, there's an opportunity to give. God has been doing some incredible things through our church here and through the resources which you've so faithfully given. And so thank you for doing that. And if some of you are newer, or you think it's like Grace is your home, you're thinking, I want to give, I want to be part of that. We're trying to make it as easy as possible, so you can give on the app, but you also can text the word give to this number right here. And it's just a way you can partner with us. God has given us so much. It's great to give a little bit back and see what he can do really to make a huge impact in our world. We have a lot of fun things that are happening at the church, a lot of cool programs, a lot of cool ministries that are going on, but some things that we really value. One of them is our kids and our students, and we have an incredible student ministries team here. And you're going to spend a couple minutes here just hearing from them about what God is doing over there in student ministry. So check out this video. Thanks.
Well, hey everyone, my name's Todd. I'm the pastor of student ministries here at the Bath campus. So grateful that we as a church value kids and students. I think these years of middle school and high school students are the most pivotal. I think it's so cool to see how, even over the past year, how our ministry has thrived, really working hard to make Jesus make sense for our students in the midst of everything that's been going on. I'd love to give you a glimpse into our ministry a little bit. Zoe, our Associate Director of Student Ministries, is going to share about our middle school program. But before we do that, I'd like to turn it over to Charles, one of our interns, as he shares a little bit about our high school program.
Hey guys, my name's Charles. I'm a Student Ministries intern here at the Grace Church Bath campus. I have the opportunity to work with our high school youth group, which is called Merge, which happens every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. We want Merge to be a place where people can be met where they're at, whether they're just exploring who Jesus is. Merge is an opportunity for any high school student to come as they are, to engage in community, and even to lead and have their own ownership of their youth group. We want to put them in an environment where they can feel free to express who Jesus is and understand who he is in a real and transparent way.
Hey guys, I'm super excited about our middle school ministry right now. It's called Overtime. It meets from 5:30 to 7:30 at our Montrose location on Sunday nights. So something that's pretty new for this ministry is that it's a large group experience for all of our middle school students to be together. It's really fun, it's really energetic. There's live music, there's teaching, there's games. It's just a blast. And it's actually split into two parts. The first hour is that program, the large group program. And then the second hour, we actually divide out into life groups where students get to have a small group experience with caring adults that are investing into their life week after week.
In our small groups, I'll tell you, this is where I think the magic happens a little bit. This is where they get down and really are able to share life with each other. They're linking arms together. They're the same grades, same gender. They've got caring adults who are meeting them where they're at. And together, they kind of get to navigate what life is throwing their way. If you wouldn't mind doing me a favor,
to be praying for our students would be so important. They're in the thick of it. Pray for them as they're navigating and journeying through middle school and high school. Pray for our volunteers as they come alongside of our students and help them navigate through this season. But again, thank you, and I'm so excited to see what God's going to do.
Well, hey guys, we are excited about our student ministries. Why don't we go ahead and stand again, and we're going to sing a few songs and just really give our hearts and our minds a chance to draw close to who God is, be refreshing the greatness of who He is. So if you know these songs, come on, why don't you go ahead and sing along.
This whole world may hold me down.
love the reminder of that song, just that our life that we are looking for, every true life, is everything that we're looking for is found in Christ and in Him alone. Just I love being able to sing that song together. This next song that we're going to sing is a song that's I know that's new to a lot of us, and it's called Holy, Song of the Ages. And this song is something, as we were kind of like learning this song, and as we were considering whether or not to do it this weekend, it's really struck me that this is the kind of reminder that we really need. Now, at least I really need. That our life, that this life that we experience is not about us. And I know it's really easy for us to get caught up and really just to see things only from our perspective. But to step back and be able to be reminded that the God who we've come here to know, to be able to see and to draw close to, this God, He's existed from all of eternity. That all of our lives, we have a chance, an opportunity, an invitation to come close to Him, to be caught up in His eternal plan, and that our short time in this earth can be wrapped up in everything that He has been doing from eternity past to eternity future. And to just catch a glimpse of that, I just think that's where we are going to find, like we were just saying, that's where we're going to find where life really begins. To fear and to love the God that set all this in motion. Hopefully this song, as we learn this together, and as we use this as our prayer, that this can be a moment that our lives can be put in perspective, and that God can really show us a little bit about how great He really is and how deserving of our love, our faith, and our lives. So let's learn this song together. It's called Holy.
Your promises are written
God, we just want to say thank you for that. God, that you, the God of all time, you're the one that set this all into motion. And Lord, would you just help us to gain some of that perspective today? The things that you are working, the things that you are doing in our lives and the lives of those around us in our world today, Lord. Lord, you have all power and authority has been given to you. Lord, we want our story to be caught up in your story. So God, open up our hearts, open up our minds to you today. Allow us to see who you are, to learn from you. You are the great God. Lord, and we want to learn what it means to kneel at your feet. It's in your name, Jesus, we pray. Amen. Amen. Well, thanks, everybody. Why don't you guys go and have a seat?
Welcome, everybody. Good to see you guys this weekend, and welcome everybody watching online. And thanks for joining us and being together as a church family this weekend. It's good to be with you guys. I've been running around the last few weeks. Grace Church is a movement, and I love that. And so we have campuses all over the place. We have 9 different campuses. We have 6 here in Ohio, 2 in Georgia, and 1 in South Carolina. So I was running around to our Ohio campuses and checking in on those guys and hanging out with folks a little bit. And I tell you, it's fun. It's fun to see what God is doing through Grace. It's fun to see the investments that we've made paying off. It's fun to see new campuses get kind of their legs. By the way, Pastor Ryan says hi, and he misses you, and Lori does. And so it's fun to see what God is doing out there at Akron East. And here this next week, I'm going to go down during the week, the next couple of days, and see our Georgia campuses and our South Carolina campus. And it's just exciting. It's exciting to see how God uses us as a church. Grace is a movement. It's not just a local church, but it's fun to see that movement in action. And so thanks for loaning me out a little bit and let me run around and check all that out. And it's fun to see what God is doing here at the Bath campus. Also, you saw the announcement. We've been talking about these services that we're adding. We're doing a couple things. We're going to add child care and children's program, Empower Kids, to the 4:30 Saturday service. So especially you guys watching online, if you've been kind of hung up with not being able to RSVP your kids and get space for them, that's why we're doing that. So that 4:30 service will have full-blown children's ministry there. That's also the service that we're kind of extra diligent about masks and stuff on. So if you're kind of poking your head out from COVID a little bit and want to try to get back in the groove, that's a great place, kind of a first step for you to do that. And then we're also adding a service on Sunday, 11:45 Sunday at the Montrose building, and that will have full children's ministry as well. And so we're really opening up a bunch of space for kids and encourage you to be a part of it as we kind of get back in the groove and prayerfully COVID continues to kind of lift and get better here in Northeast Ohio. We want to be sure that as folks are coming back into Grace, we're still able to distance and wear masks in and out and things like that. But we want to create that space so that we can still do that. So we'll have 2 services on Saturday, 4:30, 6:30, 4 services on Sunday, 2 at Gent Road, 2 at the Montrose building. And then, of course, if you're not ready yet to get back in person, everything will stay kind of as it is with all of our online ministry, so broadcasting services, program for kids, and all the rest. But hopefully we're moving in the right direction. And as spring comes in and as rates go down, as they've been doing, prayerfully we're able to kind of stay on that trajectory in our state, and we can continue to kind of get back into the groove and see each other again. So lots going on, lots of exciting stuff, and it's a fun time to be a part of things here at Grace. We are starting a new series this weekend that I am super excited about called Wasting Your Life to Save the World. And what we're going to do is we're going to take the next few weeks and we're going to talk about Jesus' approach to life. And then we're going to talk about how his approach to life is to show up in his followers' approach to life, right? So if you are a Christian, or if you're thinking about becoming one, to be a Christian actually has nothing to do with politics. It has nothing to do with a subculture. It has nothing to do with culture at all, really. Being a Christian at its core in the Bible is being a follower of Jesus Christ. People were called Christians because that meant little Christ, or ones who were like Christ, or mimickers of Christ. So to be a Christian, or decide to be a Christ follower, is to look and say, what I want to do is I want my life to mimic Jesus's life. So I want to think like Jesus, act like Jesus, love like Jesus, be motivated like Jesus, speak like Jesus. And I want that to be the reflection of my life, so that when people view my life, what they see is Christ in me. The Apostle Paul, later on in the New Testament, he says what we are ambassadors of Jesus Christ, as if he himself were making his appeal through us. So when someone who is not a Christ follower interacts with someone who is a Christ follower, the idea is that they would feel like, or experience the idea that they're interacting with Jesus himself. And we do that individually as Christ followers, and then we do that corporately as a church. When you interact with the church, it's to be as if you're interacting with the heart, the mind, the intention, the motivation of Jesus himself. And so looking at that and saying, well, then how did he approach life? And what was his mindset? And then his mindset, his heart, his mind playing out and becoming our heart and our mind and our motive and our method, so to say. What would that look like? And how would that play out for all of us, all right? So to kind of jump into this, what I want to do is take a quick survey, all right? Quick survey. If you're watching online, you can raise your hand to your television set or your iPhone, and I will see it, because these cameras run both ways. And so if you're looking there online, just to play along with me, but here we go. If you feel like the world right now is in a great place and things are going awesome and we should leave everything exactly the same as it is, raise your hand right now if that's you. All right? All right. Okay. I'm all by myself, right? If you would look at the world around us and say, I'm a little nervous, I don't think I understand it, I don't like it, I'm not sure that things are super healthy, and the world should change. If that's your opinion, raise your hand right now. All right. And by the way, thank you for signing up for the financial campaign. So we would all do that, right? We would all look at the world around us and say, I don't think I like what's going on. I don't think I like what's going on globally. I don't think I like what's going on in my country. And then if I ask you that, if I said right now, your family is perfect and there's absolutely nothing you should change, raise your hand. Or if you said, my family has its strengths and weaknesses and there's some things I'm concerned about, raise your hand right now, right? If you looked at your friendship and said, I wish I could be a better friend or help my friends that are going through difficult times, I would like to impact their life, raise your hand if that's you, right? I'd like to be a better roommate. I'd like to see something better for people. I see the oppression. I see injustice. I see people's struggles and frustrations. And I am a good-hearted person, right? I see people and what they go through, and I would be willing to jump in, and I would be willing to help make a change, right? Most good-hearted people think that way. They think, yeah, of course things aren't great, on global scales, but in my family, with my friends, at my work, my roommate, and I would love to be a part of the solution, and I would love to help them out. So if I said, hey, are you a person who would like to change the world? Let's change the world. Would you sign up for that? Like a lot of us would sign up for that. Like, I want to change the world, and I want to see it be a different place. And I would say to you, that's awesome, and I think that's good, and that's a part of being a good-hearted person, and that is also fairly common throughout the history of humanity. If we could rewind the clock, and we could go back 100 years, and I could ask all those same questions. Who thinks the world should change? Everybody would raise their hand. If we could rewind the clock again, and I said, who thinks the world should change? And they would raise their hand again. If I could rewind it again, and I'd say, who thinketh the world should changeth? They would raise their hands again, because it's the human experience, right? So we know that things are never lined up quite right. We know that at a minimum, there's always room for improvement. And at a maximum, almost at every point in human history since the beginning, there's been some level of like a global crisis that people have been caught up in. And so it's very, very common that people would say, we want to change the world. I want to change the world. We should band together and change the world, right? Now, the question is, what does that mean, and how do you do it, right? What does that mean, and how do you do it? What do you mean we should change the world, or I want to change the world? Historically, when you just kind of look back, historically, what that means, and usually what people are talking about is they're saying that we should probably affect politics and affect culture and affect power and shift those things around. So we don't like the way that something's going, we should make a political shift. We don't like the way that a culture's going, the culture's negative, we should enlighten the culture or push back on the culture. Or we don't like power structures. The king has too much power. The power should come from the people. The people have too much power. The power should go to the government. And historically, when you talk about changing the world, you're talking about it within those paradigms, and we're saying to each other, I will participate in that paradigm, or we, whoever the we is, should corporately affect that paradigm. We should take resources, and we should take influence, and we should achieve power. And we should take that power then, and we should change the structures around us and organize the world in a proper way, right? If I was in charge, what I would do, or we'll say it this way today, you know what their problem is? They should do this. And we don't really know who they is or what they should do, but we'll kind of talk that way. If I had power and I had resources and I was Bill Gates or I was Elon Musk, what I would do is I would shift. I would change the structure and I would order the world in a certain way. And people who have good motives tend to think that way, and people who have bad motives need to think that way. And we should order the world properly. The Achilles heel of that mindset is the who. So who's in charge and who defines how the world should be ordered, right? And if the who is us, then we feel great about our plan. But if the who is them, and the change is coming at us, we don't feel good about that plan at all. And so what happens is, because that's the mindset, history then becomes cyclical. It literally repeats itself and repeats itself and repeats itself. Kingdoms rise, they become corrupt, the people revolt, kingdoms fall. And then that repeats itself. We'll do this in our own marriages, our own relationships. This is why you fight about the same thing all the time. Because you're fighting about who has power and who the who is. Who gets to decide what the proper structure is. This is why that parents that have teenagers always talk about teenagers. Because teenagers will kind of function the same way. It's a bit predictable. Teenagers will talk about their parents, and they'll be like, my parents don't know what's going on. And the reason that your parents don't know what's going on is because your parents do not know what's going on, right? Because they're rookie parents, just like you're a rookie kid. And everybody's fighting for power. And everybody wants to be the who, and everybody wants to decide how the world would function. And if it would function the way that I think it would function, then it would function properly. That's only from your perspective, though. And so one party gets elected, and they make a bunch of changes, and they go out of power, and the next party comes in and cancels all those changes, and they make a bunch of changes. And then they go out of power, then the next party comes in, and they cancel their changes, and they put in their changes, and it's just cyclical. It goes through again and again and again and again. And you can trace history. Actually, if you really want to be a nerd about it, you can trace it backwards in about 20-year segments. And you can trace it all the way back, and you'll be like, there's the pattern. It's that again and again and again and again. And it's usually rooted in a group of people or an individual who said, I want to change the world, right? And they do the same things and have the same plans and have the same outcomes again and again and again. Now, there's one exception to this historically. One exception. And the one exception to this historically is Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ is the most influential person in the history of the world. Even if you don't believe he's God, you cannot argue that point. Nobody argues that point. Jesus has had more influence on the world than anybody else in the history of the world. More books have been written about him, more philosophies have been written about him, more words have been said about him, cathedrals have been built in his name, governments have risen and fallen because of him, people follow him, billions and billions and billions of people over time. Jesus Christ is the most influential person in the history of the world, and he never held an office, he never owned anything, he never possessed a media outlet. He never raised an army. He turned away crowds who were trying to follow him. He would not accept the ascension to power. They were trying to make him king, and he rejected it. And he would not embrace any cultural influence that was laid at his feet. Jesus is the most influential person in the history of the world, and yet he affected the world by rejecting every tenet of every leader who ever set out to affect the world. He did the exact opposite of what everybody else did who said, I want to change the world. And by doing something differently, he wound up being the person who has changed the world the most. Look at what Philippians says about him. Jesus, that's the who. Jesus, being a very nature God, did not consider equality with God something to be used to his own advantage. So Jesus is God. He is God. In other words, he had all access to all power, right? You ever said that? Man, if I was in charge, what I would do is, right? I do that all the time. If what I was in charge, what I would do is I would make the Ohio State-Michigan game a national holiday, and I would cancel Michigan, although it's basically irrelevant. But right? So I would look, and I would be like, I would do this. If I was in charge, what I would do, if I was the king. Well, Jesus is. But he did not consider that something to be used to his own advantage. He has the power. He could make us do whatever he wanted us to do. He could make us think whatever he wanted us to think, but he doesn't do any of that. But he has what all of us would think we would need to change the world. Being very nature God, didn't consider equality with God something to be used for his own advantage. Rather, he made himself nothing by taking the very nature of a servant, being made in human likeness and being found in appearance as a man. He humbled himself by becoming obedient to death, even death on the cross. There's not a leadership class or a political science class on planet Earth that would look at you and say, if you want to change the world, what you should do is not use your power, not use your influence, make yourself a servant, make yourself nothing, and become obedient to somebody else. You will never, ever read that book. But the most influential man in the history of humanity did that. Now, why? Why did he do that? What was he thinking, right? Ready? The reason he did that, ready, is because Jesus' motive was not to change the world. Jesus' motivation was to save the world. And those two things are very, very different goals. Changing the world is leveraging yourself to make the world what you want it to be, right? When I say, I want to change the world, I want to change the world. By making that statement, what I'm saying is I'm going to involve myself. I have an outcome. Even if that outcome is a positive outcome or a well-motivated outcome, I want the world to be structured this way. And I believe that so deeply that I'm going to leverage myself, my resources, my money, my life. I'm going to leverage myself to get that outcome. If you have a nefarious motive, then you would say, I would leverage that myself to get that outcome for very, very selfish reasons. Changing the world is rooted in this idea of leveraging yourself so the world becomes what you want it to be. Saving the world is very different. Saving the world is sacrificing yourself to give the world what it needs. Jesus didn't come to change the world. He came to save the world. I see what the world needs. I see what they don't have. I see the desperate place that they are spiritually. And I will sacrifice myself in order to meet that need for the world that I love. And that was Jesus' strategy. Look at what he says here, John 10. Jesus, these are his words. The reason my Father loves me is that I lay down my life. Not only to take it up again, no one takes it from me, but I lay it down of my own accord. I have authority to lay it down and authority to take it up again. This command I received from my Father. Jesus looks and says, my Father is happy with me because I lay down my life. See, that is the exact opposite of what we think. You ever seen a father on the sideline of a soccer game and his son is starting varsity and the son runs over to the coach, says, Coach, take me out so that the kid who never gets to play, and I'll ride the bench. You ever see a father be like, that's my boy on the bench? See? But Jesus says, my Father is proud of me because I sacrificed myself. I lay down my life. Nobody takes it from me. Why? Because Jesus is God. You can't kill God. You can't murder God. Jesus wasn't murdered. You can't take God's life. He's the creator of life and the sustainer of life. You can't do that to him, but God can offer his life of his own accord. He can lay his life down. It couldn't be snatched from him. And this is the part of Jesus that whether you believe he's God or not, everybody respects this part of Jesus. When you look what Jesus did in offering his life, nobody argues that his motives were mixed on that. Maybe you don't think he's God, but everybody would look and say, well, he thought he was God. Maybe you don't think that he's the only path of salvation, but nobody would argue that he thought he was the path of salvation. And when you look at Jesus laying his life down, when you look at this sham of a trial in which he did not defend himself, he allowed it to play out. When you look at his suffering, when you look at people mocking him, spitting on him, pulling his beard out, shoving the crowns of thorn on his head, when you see him on the cross, and he's on the cross, and he's not cursing, and he's not screaming, and he's not pleading his innocence, the main thing he says on the cross is, Father, forgive them, they don't know what they're doing. Nobody looks at that part of Jesus, whether you think he's God or not, and wonders about his motivation for doing that. See? The surrendering of his life is the power of his message. It's inarguable. We're moved not because Jesus suffered. People suffer all the time. We're moved because he chose to suffer. He chose to embrace that. God, who you can't kill, humbled himself, made himself nothing, obeyed his Father. We are drawn to him not because he was mocked. Lots of people get mocked. We all get mocked. We're drawn to him because he chose to love those who mocked him. Because you mock me, I'll mock you back. And let's be honest, I'm probably better at it than you are. But Jesus didn't. He forgave the very people who mocked. Come down off that cross if you're king of the Jews. Father, forgive them. They don't know what they're doing. We begin to grasp his love, not because he lost his life. We grasp his love because he gave it. And nobody argues with this. This is the part of Jesus that cannot be contradicted or discounted. And this is the part of Jesus that his followers are called from. I gave my life. You want to be little Christ, like Christ. What am I calling you to? Not power, not money, not influence. I'm calling you to lay down your life as I laid down mine. Ephesians 5, imitate God. Who's God? Jesus. Imitate God, therefore, in everything that you do, because you are his dear children. Live a life filled with love. Following the example of Christ, he loved us and offered himself as a sacrifice for us, a pleasing aroma to God. So I'm going to imitate God. God seen through me, Christ seen through me, little Christ. I'm a mirror of Jesus. I'm acting like, thinking like, loving like, being motivated like Christ. So when you see me and you interact with me, and then as the church, as you see us and you interact with us, it's as if you're interacting with God himself. So imitate him. What do you mean? Follow Jesus' example. What was his example? He offered his life as a sacrifice. He humbled himself. He became nothing. He became obedient. Laying his life down, because you can't kill God. But he can offer his life through his own power. See? If you're a Christ follower, you believe that when Jesus offered his life on the cross, that he did that because he loved you, because you owe a debt that you can't pay, so he had to pay a debt that he didn't owe. You believe that he was the only one that could take your place on the cross. So he didn't just lay his life down for like the world. He laid his life down for Jeff. And the only path of salvation, the only forgiveness of my sin, the only power for life and godliness comes through the sacrifice of Jesus on the cross. And it was offered for me. And Jesus' offer of his life for me then, as a Christ follower, compels me, motivates me. The Apostle Paul uses the word obligates me to offer my life as a sacrifice in humility, in nothingness, as a servant, in the same manner or for the same purpose that Christ offered his life to me. 1 John chapter 3, verse 16. This is how we know what love is. Jesus laid down his life for us, and we, his followers, who understand the power of his laying down his life for us, we ought to lay down our lives for our brothers and our sisters. It's fascinating. No one ever questions the motive of a person who lays their life down. Isn't that interesting? We question the motive of the rich, like what are they up to, right? We question the motives of the powerful, they're trying to use us. We question the motives of the famous, right? They're just trying to get on TV or be an influencer on the internet. We question their motives. When they want power, when they want fame, when they want structure, when they want to change the world, we don't trust that. But nobody questions the motive of somebody who offers their life. You don't question the motive of a fireman who runs into a burning building to save a child. You don't question the motive of a policeman who would wrap their body around an innocent person in order to save them. We don't question the motive of a stranger that jumps in the water to save someone who's drowning. We don't question the motive of an anonymous blood donor. We don't question the motive of a foster parent. We don't question the motive of an aid worker. We don't question the motive of someone who's a faceless donor to famine relief. We don't question the motive of people who lay their life down, who lay their resources down, who lay their influence down. We don't question the motive of people who are like Christ. And nobody really questions the motives of Jesus when he gave his life. They might question his sanity. They might question his deity. But nobody thinks he was up to something else. Because he laid down his life as a ransom for many. Now it's funny, when you read the Bible and you kind of, get your head around Jesus as the whole of his life a little bit, what you'll find is all kinds of people around him. These were like his supporters and his backers. All these people around him who were like, you're doing this wrong. You're totally doing this wrong. Jesus, what you need to do, you want to change the world? Jesus is like, no, it's going to save it. Well, we want to change it. And we want to use you to achieve our outcomes. So Jesus, you're God. So if you could move some God stuff around, turn somebody into a frog or like do something God-ish, then we could do it. Jesus, you being God, Jesus, this whole fish thing, I'm telling you, if we turn that into a stimulus package, I bet we could get all kinds of votes, right? Jesus, we should take over the government. Jesus, we should take up arms. See? Jesus, if you would just a little bit of God stuff, like you read people's minds and like walk through doors, if you could just like do that a little bit. And they were trying to get Jesus to be a world changer. Get resources, Jesus. Get power, Jesus. Get influence, Jesus. And set structures up the way that you want them set up and then make everybody fit in those structures. And Jesus, in essence, looked at them and said, nah, that's not what I'm here to do. I'm not here to change the world. I'm here to save it. And the way to save the world is to lay my life down. And those very people looked at him and said, what a waste. What a waste. We've been looking for the Messiah to come here and kick tail for thousands of years, and this is what we get? The Lamb of God. What a waste. You're wasting your influence. You're wasting your opportunity. You're wasting the power you could have. You're wasting. And Jesus looked and in essence said, well, I see it as investing, ransoming, spending, giving, sacrificing. So if you want to call it a waste, then I guess I'll just waste my life to save the world. When I was in high school, 35 years ago, I was a freshman in high school. I know I don't look it, because I've held up well, and my family is generally attractive. But 35 years ago, I was a freshman in high school, and I was a cocky high school kid. I know that shocks all of you, but I was just a cocky high school kid, mouthy, and like a popular kid, and those kind of things. And so I remember being in high school, and I had a biology class. And in biology class, we had I think it was his first year biology teacher. His name was Bill Norvell, Mr. Norvell. And he came into our class. I had the privilege of going to a religious high school, a Christian high school. And so I think he was my first period teacher. It's been a long time. 35 years ago is a long time. And so I think that's what it was. And anyways, on this particular day, he gave a devotional. And before class, he gave it a devotional, and he talked about, like, how are you going to impact the world for Christ? So he gave, like, this devotional, right? And when he gave this devotional, what he did was he started talking about what that was all going to look like. And so we're out doing our biology stuff. We were dissecting frogs, and the class is like dissecting a frog. I'm trying to get, like, I don't know, the esophagus out of this frog or whatever I'm trying to do. And Mr. Norvell is just coming around talking to us and teaching all of us, and just kind of hanging out a little bit. And so he walked up to my table, and he said, Jeff, he goes, that's the leg, not the esophagus. I'm like, oh, I didn't do super well in that class, but I'm looking at that, and he said, he goes, what'd you think about our devotional? And I said, I don't know. He goes, Jeff, if you're going to impact the world, what would you do? And I said, you know what I would do? I said, I would make Jesus popular. You know what Jesus needs? He needs some music. He needs some T-shirts. He needs a coffee mug, maybe a billboard. Like, that's what Jesus needs. And I would, like, market Jesus, and I would make him popular. And I said, I think if I could be a cool Christian, it would draw lots and lots of people to Christ. And Mr. Norvell, I'll never forget this. He looked at me. He said, he goes, wow. He goes, that's great. He goes, what would you think about, like, being a servant and being kind to people and just loving those who are unlovable? Have you ever thought about that? I did. I just kind of blew it off, tried to get my esophagus out of my frog. I don't even know if they have esophaguses, but I remember going to lunch that day, and I remember sitting down with my friends. I was like, you know what Mr. Norvell asked me? I told him. I said, you know what he said? I told him. And I looked at my friends and I said, isn't that the stupidest thing you ever heard in your life? What a stupid thing. I think a guy with a master's degree would be smarter than that. Just a cocky, arrogant, immature kid. I thought that was so dumb. But that conversation, I don't even remember anything about biology, but I remember that conversation, right? That conversation has affected my life. That conversation God has used in my life. That conversation here at Grace Church comes out in this phrase, if servanthood's beneath you, leadership's above you. And it's rooted back. It's rooted back to a guy who got a master's degree. I'm pretty sure if you have a master's degree, you could get a better job than science teacher at a Christian high school. But he decided to lay his life down and invest in cocky kids. I'm sure he knew I was making fun of him. I don't think he's naive. But he decided to lay his life down and endure a little bit of mockery. I'm sure there's lots of things that he could have done, but what he did instead was prepare a devotion, share truth, invest in a teenager, and point me toward the heart and the mind of God. And in that moment, in a small and almost in an immeasurable way, he wasted his life to save the world. See? Just got over himself and gave himself to somebody else. 35 years later, his moment of sacrifice still affects my life. See how that works? Guys, our world is desperate for an alternative. Desperate. Who's in charge? Who's got power? Who made the money? Whose opinion? Desperate for an alternative. And the people of God who have resources, who have money, sometimes we have power, and we all have personal megaphones called social media. We're tempted to jump into this circular struggle that is so loud and so vicious that nobody even listens to anybody, but everybody demands to be heard. And lots of people who are more important and bigger than you and me have won that game. They became the person of power, and they became the person of wealth, and they became the person that made the rules. And millions of them have come and gone over time. Do you know who the most powerful person and wealthiest person in 1147 AD was? Me either. You ever heard of Jesus Christ? And he had none of it. And he didn't want it. He wasn't trying to change the world. He's trying to save it. And he calls to his followers to imitate him, to waste our lives, to save the world. Jesus, would you help us with this? Jesus, would you press into the areas of our lives that are not marked by humility, that are not marked by selflessness, by nothingness. Areas of our lives in which we would cling to what is ours. Would you press in, God, and draw us to you? To be like you, Christ-like, little Christ. To do it differently, with a different motive, with a different method, with a different strategy. God, would you press into us individually? Would you press into us corporately as a church? And would you draw us to be more and more like you? God, allow us, help us, empower us to be the alternative that our world, that our families, that our friends desperately needs.
desperation, I turned to heaven and spoke your name into the night. Then through the darkness, your loving kindness tore through the shadows of my soul. The work is finished, the end is written. Jesus Christ, my living hope. Who could imagine so great a mercy? What heart could fathom such boundless grace? The God of ages stepped down from glory to wear my sin and bear my shame. The cross has spoken, I am forgiven. The King of Kings calls me his own. Beautiful Savior, I'm yours forever. Jesus Christ, my living. Would you stand and sing this? Hallelujah. Praise the one who set me free. Hallelujah. Death has lost its grip on me. You have broken every chain. There's salvation in your name. Jesus Christ, my living hope. And hallelujah. Praise the one who set me free. Hallelujah. Death has lost its grip on me. You have broken every chain. There's salvation in your name. Jesus Christ, my living hope. In the morning that sealed the promise, your buried body began to breathe. Out of the silence, the roaring lion declared the grave has no claim on me. Then came the morning that sealed the promise. Your buried body began to break. Out of the silence, the roaring lion declared the grave has no claim on me. Jesus, love is the victory. Hallelujah. Praise the one who set me free. Hallelujah. Death has lost its grip on me. You have broken every chain. There's salvation in your name. Jesus Christ, my living hope. And hallelujah. Praise the one who set me free. Hallelujah. Death has lost its grip on me. You have broken every chain. There's salvation in your name. Jesus Christ, my living hope. Jesus Christ, my living hope. God, you are my living
Jesus, Jesus, you are our living hope. You are the one that has offered salvation to us, God. You are the one true God, Lord, and we want to worship you. We want to lay our lives down, Lord, for you, for others, Lord, so that you can be lifted up. Lord, in ourselves, within ourselves, we have no power to save the world. But because you already have, and Lord, in you, you have the words of life, you have the path of life. In you is eternal life. So God, I just pray that you would use us, that you would allow us to be able to lay our lives down for you, so you can make them count for your eternal purpose, for your glory, for your kingdom, for your name. Lord, would you build into us that kind of faith that would trust you, that as we lay our lives down and lay down our rights, even submit our hopes and dreams to you, Lord, that we can watch to be used by you in more powerful ways than we could ever ask or imagine. Lord, would you give us that kind of faith? Would you open up our eyes to the grandeur of who you are in that way? Lord, we pray for that. Lord, we want our lives to count. We do. You built that into us. But Lord, would we count? We want it to count for you and for your kingdom, to advance your kingdom. Allow us to do that, God. Thank you, Jesus.
Worthy of every song we could ever sing, worthy of all the praise we could ever bring, worthy of every breath we could ever breathe. We live for you. Jesus, the name above every other name.
That's awesome. Isn't that great? Just take a second and just think, man, what a great God that we have, that we can just celebrate like that with him. And the fact that he calls us and gives us the opportunity to follow him through Jesus and to imitate him. And so I really hope we take that charge together, but we can't do it by ourselves. That's why we need to lean into each other as a church family as we fix our eyes on Jesus and use his strength to overcome whatever we're facing. So I hope we can do that together. On your seats, there's these cards. I encourage you to check those out. Our Give It Away team, Pastor Joe and his team have put these together. Some great resources. You can look it up on your app too. Great resources about how do we take that great message of Jesus and share it around the world. So check that out. It's going to be a great week. Hope you have a good night. See ya. Bye.
Well, how exciting was that? That was an awesome message from Pastor Jeff talking all about how Jesus saved the world, and that changes us, and it changes our trajectory, and it changes how our lives are run. I'm so excited for that. If you guys have any big takeaways or things you want to talk about, please feel free to reach out on the chat there. And if you have anything that God has been teaching you, please share that with somebody. We would love to know what God's doing in your life. And at minimum, at least write it down, because it's really important to remember that when God teaches us a truth, it's sometimes very easy to forget it because we're a forgetful people sometimes. And so it's important to write that down so that we can come back to that truth time and time again. Well, we will talk to you guys later. Thanks for coming to Grace today.